Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad to hear this morning. Got a special guest here in the studio, Studio B. But we'll get started. Our weather brought to us by Gulf Coast Air Conditioning. Drew Pollard and a hard-working crew up here in Southport taking care of our air conditioning needs. It's going to be hot today. Here on the coast it's 91. Inland it's going to be about 95. It's a low of 73, so it's a pretty good variance there, almost 18 degrees. Water temperature went up a degree at the end of the pier to 86.2 to be exact. Our river reading brought to us by Mountain Dew. Get out and do with Mountain Dew. That Apalachicola, that Bluntstown, folks, it's high. It's around 14 foot, but it's dropping out a little bit now. So hopefully, but it's going to be high this weekend. So be prepared. As is the Shocktahatchee at Caryville at a 9.2. Both rivers are predicting a little bit of a drop, but we'll wait and see. Our tide chart, this is just not there. No tides. We're in the neap tides today, tomorrow, Saturday, and most of Sunday. Not much tidal flow. So it's going to be a challenging weekend for outdoorsmen, as we've mentioned. Our wind will be coming out of the east right at 10. Okay, let's take a break. We'll be right back with our special guest. Welcome back, and welcome to Officer Bobby Ramos. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Glad you made it back.
Thank you. Always great to be here.
Studio B, and we're glad that we love Studio B.
I do. I love it anytime we get an opportunity to get out and talk, so we always appreciate that.
Well, we're glad to have you. You've got a ton of information to share, all kinds of things going on, so let's get started.
Okay, very good. Well, this first area is something I know will be near and dear to your heart. I know you were just talking with another guest a little while ago about getting the youth outdoors and involved with hunting and fishing and activities, and just how important it is to get them away from the TV and the computers and all this technology stuff and get them out there with a gun or a fishing pole in their hand instead. So FWC has got a high school fishing program and a curriculum, and we're doing grant funding right now. So if you can apply now for FWC's 2021 to 2022 high school fishing program curriculum and a grant funding, the FWC's high school fishing program offers high school fishing clubs or teams the opportunity to teach fisheries conservation, practice fishing skills, and apply for the Florida R3 fishing grant program. Now, that grant program is focused on recruiting new anglers to ensure that the future of fishing is going to be strong here in Florida. The Florida Sport Fishing Restoration Fishing Grant will award up to 30 high school fishing clubs or teams $500 this year to assist with club expenses and the purchase of fishing license or gear for its participants. Participating clubs and teams will receive an updated educational curriculum comprised of lessons and activities on fisheries conservation and resource management, plus a chance to win prizes by completing the conservation project. The grant program is open to freshwater or saltwater fishing clubs or teams at public, private, and charter high schools throughout Florida. To be considered for the grant, high school fishing clubs or teams must have a minimum of 5 members and represented by a school faculty member or parent who will follow the provided instructor's manual. There's more information that you can find it online. If you go onto myfwc.com/HSF, that's Hotel Sierra Foxtrot, by scrolling down to Florida's R3 Fishing Grant Program. And the deadline for submitting your applications is going to be Friday, September 17th at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, great. We've got plenty of time. I want to go ahead and challenge all 9 of our counties. And Walton, I want to name all of them. Y'all have heard it. I'm going to challenge you to go ahead and present this to the school system. They're giving us money to help the kids. I mean, this is a grant that's a good grant. So I want to see all 9 counties. Y'all let me know how you're doing, but everybody should do this. Is great. It's a
wonderful program, you know, and I know this is a passion dear to you. Yeah. You know, you've been doing it forever, and certainly the more enthusiasts and activities we can promote for our youth and the next generation to get out in Florida, it's just a phenomenal opportunity, and we're glad to kind of put that on.
Awesome.
A new thing that we talked about and would like to go into is, you know, I've been coming on to the show for a while now, and it's always appreciate the opportunity. And it generally, you know, provides some questions and answers. Some of your stakeholders will give me an email or a call and say, hey, I've got a question about this or that. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, how about we make it a regular thing? So we're going to have a new segment on here. I'm just going to call it Ask an Officer. Not the greatest title, maybe
Well,
not
that's
very
a
creative,
great one.
it kind of fits the bill, right? So I want you, our public, to feel free to ask me questions regarding hunting, fishing, maybe our regulations and some of our rules. Maybe you want clarification on, what it is that we're looking for on a boating and safety inspection, or when we check your deer, out there in the woods. So anything of that nature that I can provide to you and give you a little more information on, send me a question to that to my email address. And Jeff, if you'll throw that up here, more maybe just on this episode more than normal, just so people will have that email address. Send me a question or two, and then I'll get the information back to you. I'll answer that email, and then if it's a good question, when I come back the next month, we'll talk about that. I'll go over that information, that topic, explain it the best that I can, and kind of make it somewhat interactive and see how that goes.
Great idea, Bobby. I think that, again, that's interactive, and our viewing audience has a lot of questions. I get them, and I pass them on and all, and so you just go straight to Bob, and he'll cover it for you.
That's right, and it makes you come back for the answer too.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right. Good time.
Yeah. Now it won't be the next day. It's going to be a few weeks, but we'll get it back to you.
Yep.
It looks like we got a few more minutes. So September going to come around the corner, my favorite time of the year, because that's the first chance you get to shoot some birds.
There you go.
That's right. So we got early wood duck and teal showing up in September. And I talked to Winston earlier. I've kind of asked to move towards the end of the month with my visits here on the show in order to kind of help prepare the public for what's to come the next month. So this works out pretty good for us. So September 18th through the 22nd, that's going to be for your wood duck and teal. And your September 23rd through 26th, that's a teal only. Now you're still going to need your regular hunting license, a Florida waterfowl permit, a management area permit if you're hunting on any of our public lands or WMAs, and of course your federal duck stamp as well. Shooting hours remain the same, 1/2 hour before sunrise until sunset, unless otherwise noted. Now, could be a change depending on what WMA that you're hunting in, for example. And the bag limits are a little bit different in the early season, so keep in mind for your teal and your wood duck only, the aggregate limit is still going to be 6 ducks, but in your early season, you're limited to 2 wood ducks instead of 3 during the general season. Okay. And then if it's during the teal only season, that's standard limit of 6 ducks, for your teal season.
That is always a fun time to hunt, but it's a little warm, so you got to make sure you want to find a good shaded area.
Yeah,
and you don't want to face the sun.
That's right. Location is always paramount in that, and absolutely. I mean, you're going to be competing with the mosquitoes and yellow flies and the water moccasins, and it is a challenge. It's a fun hunt. It's the first hunt of the year. You get a chance to get those teal. They come down because they don't like that chilly weather up north at all. So they're the first to show up from what I've been told before. But yeah, it's not going to be a cool hunt. It's going to be a warm hunt.
And have you heard any? I know it's too early for reports and all, so we don't have any idea about it. It's too early for the teal right now.
I haven't heard or seen anything. I've got a reminder on my camera or my phone to go set my cameras out in the next week or two.
So you got your camera set out in your bird places?
I've got some ponds that are set up right there, and I just want to start seeing the activity that's out there and give me an idea. And I'm sure it's funny when you get on these fishing forums and people talk about fish, but you ask a question about duck hunting, and it's just like nothing. Them duck holes or honey holes are very, very hard to come by. So I'll throw some cameras out there just to see what the activity is around it, and then check them after a couple of weeks, and hopefully plan a good opener.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Here, FWC Officer Bobby Ramos, and we've got a lot of time. We lost last month, and we've got a lot of things to catch up with. And of course, this time of the year, everybody's going crazy over scallops. And I know you, as an officer, y'all are well aware of what's going on out there. And we got a story to tell later if we get a chance about your early days. You want to tell it now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's tell the story.
Let's do it now.
I know Dad real well. Okay, and they would tell us what your dad did back in the day.
It's probably almost 9 years ago at this point, but I had only been an officer for a very short time, and we were fishing over in St. Joe Bay, and myself and my family on one boat, and my mom and dad were on another boat nearby, and I was down on the side of the water. Well, an FWC boat came up and checked my dad and my mom, and everything was fine, but my dad said, pointing over at me, he said, "Y'all need to go check them over there." ha ha ha, right?
They're sort of
Yeah, he's like, I've been watching them and they just don't look right. Didn't say he was my dad, didn't say he was my family. So they sent that officer over there, and I come out of the water and see an FWC boat, and I'm like, hey, and they got this kind of stern look. I'm like, oh boy. We get in the boat, we go through the boating safety inspection, we go through the resource inspection and everything. I'm like, by the way, there's a firearm in this compartment over there, and there's a badge with it. And they're like, oh, okay, well, you're law enforcement. Who are you with? I'm like, you guys. They didn't know me, I didn't know them. I was new on board, and then we had a good chuckle about it afterwards. It was a good time. But
that's cool. That's a good job.
That's right. Dad threw me under the bus. At least he tried to, but it was a good time. We'll talk about scallops here just a little bit more. It's kind of a recap of what we talked about from last month. Quick reminder that amberjack and gray sugarfish are still open, as of right now, as of August. You're allowed to harvest one each of those fish per person per day. Your AJs are 34 inches to the fork, and your gray sugarfish are 15 inches to the fork. For more scallop information, you can go to that link that we put up there previously, but Jeff can throw it up there again. It's myfwc.com, and just type in scallops. If you go onto the website, and it'll get you on there and show you the link. There's a picture on there that kind of shows you the different zones that we have on there. It's a little bit easier now because it's pretty much open everywhere up in the Panhandle where it's open, and in the Big Bend. But Gulf County opened up on August 16th.
Yeah, and I mentioned this before, I mentioned again with you with the organization. I thought that was a really good move of the FWC to open the season on a Monday. Mm-hmm. It really got a lot, sort of spread the people out. Of course, Saturday there was a huge amount of people anyway, but it would have been more because I know some people on Monday did not go on Saturday.
That's right.
Including myself. So
yeah.
It worked out good doing that.
It did. I think they put some thought into it, and the commissioners, they like to listen to public feedback, mm-hmm. and I think that they did that in this case, mm-hmm. and it turned out pretty good. So as you know, Gulf County is opened up in August 16th, and that season will run all the way through September 24th. And Franklin and northwest portion of Taylor County, it's already open in July, runs up through September 24th. So your St. Joe Bay and your Gulf County, again, this region includes all your state waters from the Mexico Beach Canal over in Bay County to the westernmost point of St. Vincent Island in Franklin County. And then the Franklin County through northwestern Taylor County, that includes Carabel, the Lanark, and the St. Marks. That's July 1st through your September 24th. Your daily bag limit per person, 2 gallons of your whole base scallops in a shell or 1 pint of the base scallop meat. And your per vessel is maximum of 10 gallons of whole scallops in a shell or half a gallon of baked, scallop meat. And I know our family, we pretty much always try to get them shelled out while you're on the water. Seems to get a little bit more volume out of them that way.
You really do, and we actually did experiment with Carl and Daryl, and you get about that many more in a pint if you suck them out, about that many more.
You do, it gets a little bit, and I think, so you run a risk, and later in the season they're a little bit bigger, but then again they might be more hard to find too.
That's exactly right,
yeah,
and that's why we're debating, when to go again and all, and like I say, there's so many people going now, you're going to have left, And I think most people too are really doing a good job on getting the limit and all. I don't see a lot of people, the only questionable spot. I know some of the campers down at Presnell's. I know some of them might be going a couple of times, but because we've talked about that. But most part, people are good about it.
Yeah, we get a lot of complaints about people daily, doing double tripping. It's kind of what we call it. Go out in the morning and get your bag limit, wait, and go back in the afternoon and get another bag limit. We're obviously onto that. We understand that happens.
I was down there the other day, and I was kidding. Another group came up and all, and Carl introduced me as an undercover FWC officer, and they sort of,
That's right.
It was funny.
And we talked about that before. It's just because you don't see us doesn't mean that we don't see you, and we're not always wearing, uniforms.
Sooner or later, you're gonna get busted.
Exactly. You got to get lucky every single time you go out and do that, and it's just not worth it. Why face going to court over a scallop? Other things to consider, we want to remind our boating public to use a diver's down display device when you're scalloping especially, but anytime you're in the water with a mask and snorkel or scuba apparatus on or something like that, very important to use that. I won't go into it, but I could tell you about multiple tragedies that we've had where boats have ran people over because those individuals didn't have the proper devices in the water. It's very, very unfortunate and very preventable. So we want to remind all divers, which includes swimmers wearing a mask with a snorkel, to promptly display a diver's down device in the area in which the diving occurs. All vessels have to make a reasonable effort to stay 300 feet away from a diver's down device in the open waters, and divers should stay within those same distances of their display device. A vessel that approaches closer must be fully off plane and at idle speed. And we're going to go over that, kind of what the idle speed and slow speed means just here in a few moments.
Good.
Go in that.
Because, and I was asked that question too this past weekend. What's the distance? I said a football field, 300 feet.
That's right.
And won all of it. So that's sort of pretty well. Everybody's sort of getting adjusted to that.
It is. It's 300 feet in open water. Now, if you're in a tight an inlet or a river, then that's reduced down to 100 feet. You know, but for the most part, if you stay at 300 feet, regardless of where you are, you're pretty good shape, unless you're in a river or something. And then also keep in mind, divers and your snorkelers, you also share that responsibility of staying within the parameters of that distance as well. So you can't be out 350 feet away from your boat, and expect other boats to be able to see you. And just like we talked about before, typically, especially if you're scalloping, you're typically in 2 to 5 feet of water. Usually you can stand up. If you hear that boat motor coming close to you, just pop your head up, stand up, and just wave real fast. It'll make everybody feel better, especially you.
Yeah, especially you. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, folks. Let's take a look at our fishing game time brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers down in Port St. Joe. Our times today, 2:43 to 4:43 this morning, and this afternoon, 3:04 to 5:04. We got a lot more stuff, so I'm going to let you take off with it.
All right, thank you, sir. So we have a new law that's out for our boaters. It's underneath Florida Statute 327.463 underneath the Special Hazards section. And this is kind of what I call the move over law for boaters. That's my term. It's not the official term, but it kind of gets you thinking of how it relates. So just like, if you're on the highway and you see an ambulance coming up in your rearview mirror, you understand as a motorist, you've got to pull over and let that emergency vehicle pass by you. If you see a highway patrolman up on the interstate, you've got to get in the other lane or slow down, substantially reduce your speed until you get past him in order to keep that first responder and the public safe. Well, now we have a law on the books for vessels. It's the same idea. It is the identical concept that if a emergency vessel is operating with its emergency lights on, other boaters in the area are required to stay 300 feet away or to come down to slow speed minimum wake. And that's to protect the first responders who are doing their responsibilities, as well as the boating public. As an officer, we pull up next to your vessel and we're tied up next to you and we're talking to you, going through your safety inspection, looking at your fish. And the worst thing is that when you're doing that, it's another boat to come by near you, and then their wake causes our boats to start bumping and drifting and stuff like that. And it puts people in precarious positions, possible for danger and stuff like that. So that new law allows your first responders to do the responsibilities that they have to do safely, and it mitigates any other damage from vessel traffic and stuff like that.
Okay, that's a new law. That's a good law. It makes a lot of sense.
It is. So the new law states that a person may not operate a vessel faster than slow speed and minimum wake within 300 feet of any emergency vessel, including but not limited to a law enforcement vessel, the United States Coast Guard vessel, a firefighting vessel, or anytime when these emergency vessels, emergency lights are activated. Okay. So it's not just any time you see a vessel, it's just when they got those lights on. If they got their lights on, then they're operating in an official capacity, and then boaters now have to stand off 300 feet. If they can't get away 300 feet, and we understand they can't, come all the way down to a slow speed minimum wake.
Okay.
And then that answers the next question, right? So what is slow speed minimum wake? We get questions a lot of times between, what is idle speed, what is slow speed? Well, slow speed and minimum wake means that your vessel is fully off plane and it's completely settled in the water. It's proceeding without a wake or with a minimum wake. A vessel that is required to operate at a slow speed and minimum wake may not proceed at a speed greater than a speed that is reasonable or prudent to avoid the creation of an excessive wake or any other hazardous condition under these circumstances. So slow speed and minimum wake is not operating at a speed that creates a wake that is unreasonably large or unnecessarily endangers other vessels or people, or operating on plane, that's not minimum wake, or if you're in the process of coming off plane and sailing into the water or getting up on plane, that's not minimum wake.
Yeah, that's the case in St. Joe Bay, and people the last 2 weekends have been really good about it.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And it's
I've got a couple minutes, about 2 minutes left. We got a case of the month.
We got it. All right. So Officer Helen and Gore here in Bay County were on water patrol in Bear Creek and observed a vessel violating an idle speed zone. The officers conducted a vessel stop and noticed the operator displayed signs of impairment. Officers also noticed that a strong odor of cannabis was coming from the vessel. After completing the boating safety inspection, Officer Gore asked the operator if he had any cannabis on board. Operator reached to the console, pulled out a small jar containing what appeared to be cannabis. When he pulled it out, he opened it, and he threw it overboard, and some of it hit Officer Gore, some of it landed in the patrol boat. Operator then pulled out a smoking pipe and a lighter and threw those items into the water as well. After completing standard field sobriety tasks, the operator was arrested for boating under the influence. He provided 2 breath samples, both of which were .145 BAC. He was charged with operating a vessel with a blood alcohol level of .08 or higher, possession of cannabis less than 20 grams, possession of drug paraphernalia, obstruction of an FWC officer, and littering. And he was booked into the Bay County jail for these charges.
Awesome. Way to go.
Yeah.
Officer Gore and Officer, what was the other one?
Hell it.
Yeah. No, good job, guys.
That's right.
Up there on Bear Creek.
That's right. That's right. So
they just try to, it's like having too many fish. You see the officer coming, you're going to throw them overboard. You can pretty well see it.
anything, yeah, if it's pretty much the golden rule is if you see an officer coming up to you, don't throw anything.
Yeah.
There's really no reason to throw anything. If you got it, you got it, and we'll deal with it accordingly.
Especially alcohol or marijuana or whatever. I mean,
That's right.
That's a pretty criminal offense.
It is. You're almost always going to go to jail if you start doing those things. That's
wow.
right.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. We got to appreciate everything going on. I know next time you come on, we'll have some scallop cases I'm sure to talk about maybe next month and all. And I know you guys are out there all the time. And now we got this question of the month. We want y'all to be active in it and then send it to Officer Ramos and all kind of questions. This new one about we got new laws coming up about the slowing down, and then and we also going to try to get some biologists in here later on about looking at the scallop population, all kind of stuff, but your job is law enforcement.
That's right. That's right. I'm not a biologist. I can answer some questions.
So don't ask him about the health of the bay and all that, because y'all got a big enough job catching those guys up.
That's
the
right.
bad guys.
That's right. We have fun.
The bad guys want to keep you in job security.
They do. They do. Our poachers and folks who don't want to follow the rules, unfortunately, they do give us some job security.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for watching Panhandle Outdoors. Y'all do something good today for fellow man, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.